So the day before turned out to be a scam. Who saw this coming? As you might be well aware, a game called The Day Before, an advertised survival MMO set in the zombie apocalypse, and one of the most wishlisted games since its reveal in 2021, released recently on the 7th of December 2023. And if there were any words to accurately describe the phrase and the surrounding conversation about this game, then I would probably use the term a complete up. And the most baffling part, and the reason why I'm making a video that's completely different from what I normally do, is that anyone could have seen this coming from a mile away. Listen, I'm not some intellectually gifted genius. I actually had to use Google to make sure intellectually had 2 L's, and I bought the Modern Warfare 2 reboot, so clearly I'm a moron. But seeing the absolute shit show that is this game, and the conversation around hype trains, early access, and disgruntled consumers, I felt the need to make this video and touch on something that I feel is kind of important: being a smarter gamer. The Day Before is just another page in the book of why overhyping things is bad, and also highlights just how easily impressed people can be without taking a second to think, hey, this looks way too good to be true. The premise of The Day Before is, well, it's generic. It's another open world zombie game, but it's advertised as a survival MMO built on realistic gameplay and graphics that might rival the biggest names in the industry. However, the initial reveal trailer, as good as it looked, started to raise some red flags, which eventually grew to a fistful, and then eventually took over a football field. So why am I making this video? Well, the simplest and naive answer is that I just like gamers to respect themselves, their time, and their money just a little bit more, and maybe just ask themselves a little more often, hey, doesn't this look just a little bit too good to be true? I mean, I'm sure you've heard that phrase before, right? If it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. I don't know about you guys, but I heard this a lot when I was growing up, mostly in regards to email scams, you know, like the Nigerian prince ones of the 90s and the 2000s. Maybe go ask your parents about that one. You know, they ask you for a little bit of money to help unlock a fortune that they'll cut you in on, or those Russian girls looking for love, or a McDonald's burger that actually looks good. It's one of those things that when you hear someone falling for a scam like that, you can't seem to fathom how. It's got red flags all over it, should be super obvious. And yet this game with quotation marks large enough to brain yourself on was exactly that, and somehow people still brought into it. So the scam before is exactly that, a scam. And I'll just end the video. Thanks for watching. Take a seat. Let's have a talk. First, I'm not an expert on the industry, game development, or anything of the sort. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I'm the only person in here. Take what I say with a grain of salt, and I'll also add that I'm not immune to hype myself. I mean, heck, I bought Rust, DayZ Standalone, No Man's Sky, and Black Ops 4 on day 1. I also can't do 4 fingers probably. I'm just as much of a moron as anyone else. And secondly, this isn't me telling you not to be excited for anything and to be completely cynical. If I wanted to do that, I wouldn't take the time to make a video. I'd just link you my Twitter account and go play Baldur's Gate free.
What's Twitch's policies on killing kids?
No, instead I want to go back to the phrase, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. For the love of you and quite possibly your parents' hard-earned cash, remember this next time that you see a trailer for an upcoming game and you start hearing heaps and heaps of hype for it. Using both The Day Before and another popular overhyped game, No Man's Sky, we can draw similar parallels. Both are extremely ambitious ideas from the get-go, one with a dynamic living world and a survival MMO with a heavy focus on realism and some stunning graphics. And who could forget? Zombies, because we don't have enough of those fucking games already. And on the other hand over here, No Man's Sky, a space exploration game that bragged about the size of its universe without knowing how to use it, infinite possibilities due to every planet being procedurally generated, and large-scale spaceflight combat. Also, the universe was supposed to be so large that players would never ever run into one another. Proven wrong in less than an hour. Both of these were ambitious to say in the least. The first thing to take away from this is just to be very wary of grandiose promises like this. It sounds fantastic on paper, it looks even better on a 4K trailer. However, even large-scale developers with lots of experience in this field, like Rockstar, the creators of the Grand Theft Auto and the Red Dead Redemption franchises, haven't even attempted something this themselves. It's not to say a small indie studio can't achieve an idea this ambitious and shouldn't attempt it at all. By all means, aim high and prove the naysayers wrong. But I think it's important to take into account the developer, their existing projects, and just take for a second think, hey, is this actually possible to pull off? The studio behind The Day Before, Fantastic, had primarily only released mobile games, which they also lied about. So, for the record, I actually messed up here. Fantastic claimed that they were backed by one of the largest mobile publishers in the world, and I can't find the original tweet. However, Mytona's annual revenue in 2022 was $21 million. For reference, Candy Crush alone made $1 billion. Yeah, with a fucking B. They still lied to us. And one of the games they released, Prop Night, which was a Dead by Daylight clone, was also abandoned very shortly after release. On the other hand, Hello Games, the creators of No Man's Sky, had released 2 side-scrollers and 1 mobile game. While I'm all for giving a new studio a chance to prove themselves and see what they can possibly pull off, I think it's also important to take into account the history of their studio and the scope and scale of the project being advertised. Following that, cinematic trailers. They look awesome, they always do, they're designed to. They're not gameplay. Case in point, Ubisoft. One of the most well-known publishers and studios in the AAA space, and also one of the biggest offenders of this. The examples to use, of course, is WatchDogs, The Division, and of course Rainbow Six Siege. Each of these games have their respective gameplay trailers, and each of them look completely different upon release. It's not to say that you can't watch a game trailer and go, this is fucking awesome, and be excited for it. You just gotta remember, it's not gonna look like this in the final release, doubly so if it's a cinematic trailer. We're nearly done, I promise you. When you see a game trailer or an announcement for something that you're really interested in and you're not familiar with the developer, just take 2 seconds to go look at their Wikipedia page. You do not need a game development degree to understand if a studio's got a rocky history or not. And the last one, it's really simple and obvious and kinda stupid. Just keep a level head. Don't get swept away with the marketing. We see it year after year after year after year after year. Some games just get marketed to hell and back. Games like Cyberpunk 2077, and quite often those are the ones that end up falling flat on their face the most. There are some games that get marketed really heavily and have good releases, like Elden Ring for example, but just remember, they are the exception, not the rule. So just to recap, be aware of too good to be true promises. Cinematic trailers are not gameplay, and gameplay trailers are quite often not indicative of the final product. Check who's developing the game and see if they have a sketchy background. Maybe just wait it out and see what happens. And lastly, of course, you can be excited for games, just don't get lost in the hype. It might save you some heartbreak and some money in the long run. And that's it, that's the video, that's me done. Check out my other videos over here. This one's really good. Don't make me make another video like this again. I'm out.